Welcome to Right Fit Leader, a podcast from Alec Broadfoot and the Hire with Confidence team at VisionSpark. This is where visionaries, entrepreneurs, and leaders learn how to hire leaders, lead better, and build teams that last. Through expert insights, real client stories, and conversations with top leaders, you will hear how we find A players for your business. This is Right Fit Leader.
So Kary Oberbrunner, he's the best-selling author of 14 books and CEO of Igniting Souls and Instant IP. He's helps publish abundant-minded and coachable, competent leaders and entrepreneurs to publish, protect, and promote their intellectual property and turn it into 18 streams of income so they can change the world. As a young man, Kary, he suffered from severe stuttering, depression, and self-injury. Today, a transformed man, Kary ignites souls, speaking internationally on a variety of topics and consulting the world's top entrepreneurs and brands regarding publishing, protecting, and promoting intellectual property. So welcome, Kary.
Hey, great to be with you, man. You knew me way back when.
We did. We met, I think, in 2011, and I was getting ready to start VisionSpark.
Mm-hmm.
And we met in the your mastermind group.
That's right.
Path. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm super grateful for you because
I got that book right there.
Oh, you got it up there. Okay. Yeah. I'm just super grateful for you. And at the time, as a serial entrepreneur, I was tinkering with a variety of businesses, and this was one of them. And I remember we met at Panera in Powell, Ohio. And you said, which one are you the most passionate about? Which one would you love to succeed in? And I'm like, it's VisionSpark.
Wow.
And you're like, why don't you go on in that? So I'm very grateful for that conversation. I don't know. Do you remember that we met way back then?
I knew that we met at my financial advisor's office once we started, but I'll tell you what, man, I was super passionate back then. You know, you look back, whatever that was, 13, 14 years ago, I was a pastor. I was wanting to help people full-time ignite souls. But I just had my own journey too. And, you know, while I was coaching you, I was saying, all right, Kary, you gotta drink your own Kool-Aid here and go pro as an entrepreneur. And so right around there, man, I left a very safe, comfortable, secure job and became an entrepreneur.
Yeah. You probably were always an entrepreneur, just didn't know it.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
And you recently helped publish my book, Hiring the Right Number 2 Leader.
Love it.
And because we partnered with you, our book became #1 Amazon bestseller.
So good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, the book is so good because it basically forces the reader to say, I want that. You know, I mean, the title is not hidden. Hiring the right number 2 leader. And I would just encourage anybody listening, like, pick a title that is polarizing. Like my latest book, You Are an IP Company. Like, you know, it's like you're in or you're out, and your book is so good. And I feel like it leads people to VisionSpark.
And you've personally written and published 14 books.
14 books, but my bigger accomplishment is I've helped 2,000 people publish their books.
2,000?
2,000.
I swear it was just yesterday you said 1,500. So
yeah,
wow.
It was a few years ago, 1,500, but even just last year was, I think, 92 or something. So yeah, man, it is. We've been around for a long time, and you know, it started with that Author Academy Elite, and then it moved into this Right Fit client. And I know we're going to talk about Right Fit leaders today, which I love. I love the title.
So out of the 2,000 books that you've helped publish, which one of those is the top selling book?
I would say a very top seller is Justin Donald's Lifestyle Investor. But here's why. It's not just how many copies were sold. We did a free zone training the other day, about six months ago, where I brought on Pat Luce, one of our authors, and I brought on Justin Donald. And I said, guys, just share the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's talk about how you created a book-based business and how many streams of income you did from our 18. And Justin shocked me by saying he's earned $50 million. $50 million
Wow.
from his book-based business. And it makes sense because his mastermind alone is $50,000. And that's one stream of income. And so, you know, that's kind of our claim to fame. We don't say like, oh, we're the publisher who sells, you know, the most copies of your book. I mean, maybe, but take a guy like Carter Freilich who says, Kary, if I sell 100 books to the right people, I'm thrilled because he creates master plan communities that are between $5 million to $100 million. And think about that. You know, that's really the goal, is like, it's not how many readers, it's how many right readers.
Yeah. Spot on. Yeah. That's great. So what's your next book?
I'm actually chilling for a while, which I know is rare, but I believe that I have a seasoned, mature business, Igniting Souls. And then I have more of this startup. I'd still call it, you know, if you look at the age of a business, I'd call it still a startup, which is Instant IP. And You Are an IP Company points to that. And this is a software as a service model that basically offers alternative to traditional IP protection through blockchain-based smart contracts. And it creates a first use, first to file, first in commerce specimen of intellectual property. It's not to replace traditional patents, copyrights, and trademarks, but it's basically, and here's the funny thing. Today, Alec, this morning, I'm prepping for class, and I have this IP that I've created called Clarity Attracts, Confusion Repels. And maybe you've heard me say that, but I've been saying that since 2012, at least, with Deeper Path. It's in a lot of my books. So I Google it, you know, just to say, like, I was prepping for class, and I'm thinking, like, I wonder what Google says. And sure enough, Google has me as the person, but it has now dozens of other people that have come after who are claiming it as their own. Okay. And what I did this morning, just because I felt a little snarky, I said, you know, to a few of those people, I said, great quote. Thanks for mentioning. And I put the URL of Goodreads that attributes the quote to me. Not to be an idiot or jerk, but I'm just saying, like, you know, Alec, it is a lot of effort to write a book, you know, and it's a lot of your brain power. It's a lot of your intellectual property. And what if somebody came along and said, hey, listen, hiring the right number 2 leader is ours. You know, we came up with that. And you feel like somebody stole something from you. And, you know, it's wrong if you take my thermos here and just say, hey, that's mine. But for some reason, some people still can't get over the fact that property is actually intellectual. And according to the S&P 500, it's actually the most valuable form of property. So you really have to protect it. And I'm not going to press charges against these people. I'm not going to fight them. But I do want them to know, like, look, you can't just go out there and say you created all this yourself. I quote people all the time. You know, I'm teaching a Donald Miller story brand class. You bet I'm quoting him, because creators quote other creators, but thieves steal from other people.
Yeah, it is thievery for sure. So we're talking about we're going to talk a little bit about right fit leaders, and we'll talk about how IP plays into hiring the right fit leader. So when you think of the right fit leader, what does that mean to you?
I love that term, because we have what's called a right fit clarity call with our potential clients. And what I've realized is that the wrong fit teammate, the wrong fit client. I'll never forget a quote that you said, and I've told you this multiple times. You were so accurate when you quoted, was it called top grading? I mean, I remember that you said something like the C-suite mishire is 15 times the annual cost of that person's salary. And like, boom, you said that. You gave credit to the person, the study. But I remember that from more than a decade ago that says that a mishire is massively costly. And it is. It's not just the, oh, crud, we wasted hours, we wasted budget, we wasted time. It's the mental investment. It's the emotional investment. Dan Sullivan, our coach of strategic coach, says that the number one thing an entrepreneur needs to protect is their confidence. When I have somebody who's in the wrong seat on the company, it weighs on me. I'm up at 2 a.m. I am thinking about that. I am thinking like, why are they in that role? And that jeopardizes my peace, my confidence, and that is huge. So I am all about right fit people. It's hard to fire somebody. It really is. But yeah, I've had wrong fit people. I mean, Dan Sullivan in his new book, him and John Bowen tell the story that when I started Instant IP, 70% of my small little company left. I mean, that's a lot, man.
Yeah.
Enough that I even questioned myself, and I'm like, whoa, am I out to lunch? But here's the thing. Those who stayed and those who came are, I mean, you see our company. It's amazing, right?
Yeah. How, in terms of revenue, from when you lost 70% of your employees to where you are now, is that multiple? Are you twice as much, 3 times, 4 times?
I would say we're doing the right things. And what I mean by that is I used to have so many more clients paying a lot less, causing a lot more stress, causing a lot more billing issues, causing a lot, like the complexity of our business was crazy. I mean, enough where it was like, I wasn't self-managing. I was like round the clock. I couldn't go on cycling trips. I mean, I was just in it. And now we may, we're more profitable, but here's the thing is I have the four freedoms. You know what I'm saying? Would you rather have a company that's the same income with not 4 freedoms, or a little bit more income with 4 freedoms? Like, it's a no-brainer.
And you're talking about the 4 freedoms. We talk about a strategic coach, which is time, money, relationship, and purpose. And you make a great point. A lot of entrepreneurs, they go after top line revenue, and they sacrifice themselves, their family, the sleepless nights. They don't have the freedoms. Their profit is lower. Maybe their profit margin is lower, right? So yeah, you sacrifice a lot to get to that top line. So I want to ask you, Kary, we've all made hiring mistakes.
Oh yeah.
So have you ever hired a leader for your company and it just was a big mistake?
Yeah. So I like what Dan Sullivan says, is that the visionary shouldn't be the one hiring people. And the reason why is because we are good at selling. And I realize this, like, I want the job more than they do. I believe in them more than they do. I'm more passionate about the company than they are, so I'm bad at hiring. Like, I literally told Sarah a few years ago, I'm not I can't hire people. I just can't, and so yeah, I mean, we hired somebody that, now looking back, I'm not going to name this person, of course, but this person still to this day publicly puts out there, I'm X years old and I've had 40 different jobs in my career. And I've never been fired. And I've always left for something better. And like, again, I didn't see the warning signs, but it's like, dude, I'm 48. I better not, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a good thing to say you've worked at 40 places.
No, not at all.
And so, the signs are there, but I think it's like, dating. We overlook flaws. And so you almost need an outsider like VisionSpark to objectively come in. I mean, after that mishire, I was gun shy, and you and I were at this Bob Schenefeld.
Yeah, Bob Schenefeld. Yeah, the Visionary Forum.
Visionary Forum in Texas. we were there, and I swear, like, God had me there just so I would go through the process, chatting with you
Mhm.
and saying, I think I should hire Sarah. But I was scared. We walk away from a mishire and we're like,
Mhm.
I can't trust myself. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. So I think you provided that great perspective that VisionSpark does, and you guided me in to say, hey, she is the one. And I literally took a break and called her and hired her at the forum from a
Yeah.
distance.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that and your emotions beforehand. And we've actually done some, we do those assessments
Yeah.
on our clients, and we have every visionary take the talent impact profile assessment, the TIP assessment. And we have found that entrepreneurs by nature, we measure their sensitivity. So there's one of the spectrums on the personality assessment is you're sensitive on one side and you're tough on the other side. You're empathetic or thick-skinned. And we have found most often that entrepreneurs are more on the sensitive side, which makes sense when they can empathize with their customers and they can create value, right? Hey, this is not in the marketplace yet, or it helps them be more customer oriented. So that is their superpower, but it's also their kryptonite, because as someone who has empathy for others, we don't have the right emotion when we hire them, right? We hire, hey, I like them, they like us, let's hire them, right? So we've done that. We've done that studies, and that's good that you let your number two do all the hiring. And we actually talked about that on the last podcast. We talked about some hiring mistakes and what are some common hiring mistakes people made, and I said, a typical interview, this is a quote from a gentleman who wrote the book. It's not the how or the what, but the who. And typical interview is a conversation between two liars.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I saw that quote recently.
Yeah. So I want to ask you some questions about, our audience is listening because we want to hire great leaders. And so what advice would you give leaders about protecting and multiplying their best assets, whether it's their ideas or their people?
Yeah. I think you have to really listen to what sticks. In other words, before we came up with the 18 streams of income, I threw a lot of stuff against the wall. I really did. And that is, no other publisher on the planet we publish, protect, and promote intellectual property and turn it into 18 streams of income. And what that says is, by the way, prior to that, you read it, it's abundant-minded, coachable, competent entrepreneurs. So we got really, really clear on who is the right client. And it doesn't mean that we won't publish a memoir, or it doesn't mean that we won't publish a fiction book, but we tell those people 100% up front. We're like, look, you're probably not going to get your ROI back, of a memoir, or because here's the thing, like, it's really hard to sell oodles and oodles and oodles a book when you have no platform. And a lot of people come to us with very little platform. So they're in a platform building stage, and they know that the book is going to help them with the platform. So what we do is we basically say, look, we need to be very clear on what is the CTA, the call to action. So we almost approach book writing with marketing hats on, which again is very rare. Like, most traditional publishers are like, we don't know how we're going to market the book. I mean, they'll even tell you that. It's actually crazy. So what we want to do is we want to basically say, look, we want to fill a space that no other publisher does. And no other publisher has an intellectual property protection machine as part of it. So again, like, Alec, what I had to do though was say no to a lot of other good things. So, one of our mutual friends, Chad Jenkins, I think in the beginning, when he has abundance of collaborations, and he kind of come to me and be like, hey, I think there's a collaboration here that you might want to talk to, and here and here and here. And what I do actually, Alec, this is probably a really good tool for people. The moment someone asks to pick my brain, the moment someone asks to meet with me, I very kindly, I affirm them. I'm not a jerk, but I basically say, I'm honored that you want to chat. I'm honored that you want to consider a collaboration. My coach, Dan Sullivan, makes me complete an impact filter prior to our conversation. And when he does, we have a much richer conversation than we ever would prior. So I'm going to ask that you complete this impact form. And then I basically give them a video of this. So I never even talk to them. I give a video where I explain this. Below that is an impact filter with a 12-minute video from Dan. Guess how many people actually fill that impact filter out?
I would say maybe half.
10%.
Only 10%.
10% say, I'm going to fill that out. So that means 90% of my calendar is already freed up. When somebody even says, well, let me finish this story and then I'll tell the other one real quick. The 10% who do, 1%, I'd say 10% of those. Okay. So 1% of the actual total, but 10% of those who fill it out, I can help. The other 90%, I can't. They need my friend Alec. They need my friend Chad Jenkins. They need my friend Sonny. And so as a result, what I end up doing to them is I say, you know what? Thank you for sharing this impact filter. It's very clear what you want. I have the exact person who can meet your need because I can't. So what I do is if you go to karyoberbrunner.com/opus, OPUS, you can see my opus there, but you did this before. Like it's your whole, it's your overarching vision, your purpose, your unifying strategies, and your scorecard of significance from Chet Scott, Built to Lead. Everything that's not on my opus is an automatic no. So I'm like, my time is, me, man, like my time is very essential. And so I guard it so fiercely, because if I go to that little social thing, I'll meet 10 people and those 10 people want to actually have a follow-up, and those follow-ups turn into 5 other meetings, and those 5 other meetings turn into 7 other meetings with their team. That's how entrepreneurs kill themselves. What do you think?
I love it. And that's that whole concept, buy back your time, right? I mean, it's, and time is a limited resource, right? And it pains me when companies hire the wrong leader, because it costs them. I think Brad Smart in the book Top Grading, it costs them 278 hours of time, right?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, like, we're just wasting 270 hours of time. And what can we do with 270 hours of time, right? Whether it's in our four freedoms or
everything.
It's significant. And what's our time worth? If it's $100 an hour or $1,000 an hour, it's a lot of money, right?
It is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So right fit leaders really can help an organization grow and scale. Do they need to be IP savvy in your mind?
I would say that they definitely should be on that learning curve. Here's why. If you hire employees and you can't prove legally that you have trade secrets, I'm good friends with Keegan Caldwell, Katie Rubino. I've really gotten into that IP law space naturally. If you can't document and show that you have trade secrets and that you have systems in place to maintain the trade secrets, then when an employee leaves, they can actually share your secrets and not get in trouble. So every business, we have 45 different ways that IP shows up. It's what you just said. It's your tip test, it's the right fit leader name. Like, there's so many examples of intellectual property that every business has. But if you don't show that it's i.e. a trade secret, or B, that you've protected it, it's fair game, and it's a shame, but like, that's actually probably one of your biggest risks, is past employees stealing your intellectual property.
And, for the audience listening out there, we at VisionSpark can actually vet leaders who are IP savvy. So if you're looking for a number 2 or a senior leader, we can actually evaluate that with our tools.
That is so good.
Yeah. That's really cool.
And because listen, Alec, if you
Yeah.
don't have trust, you don't have anything. I mean, can you really go on vacation when you don't trust your team?
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah.
can you tell, hey, can you take this sales call for this really big client if you don't trust them? So it's like trust and the right fit leader in your tests are so important.
Yeah. And, that book, 5 Dysfunctions of the Team, trust is number one, right? So that's the foundation. Yeah.
And trust, I would say too, is even just competence. I mean, when
Mhm.
you're a quarterback and it's game time and it's 4 seconds left in the fourth quarter and you're down by 6, you got to pick a receiver. And if you have a track record of throwing it to that receiver and they drop it, you're not going to be able to throw them the ball in the time of crisis. So to me, that's actually really big, is that trust comes down to competence too.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely does. And actually in our next podcast, we're going to be talking about the VisionSpark success DNA, and competence is one of them. So yeah, Kary, for those listening here, if they want to find out more on how to protect their IP, or they have an idea for a book, how do they get in touch with you?
So ignitingsouls.com/apply, and that will literally take them into a right fit client process. Or they can protect their first idea free at instantip.app. It's not in the App Store because we don't want the App Store getting in the way of people's intellectual property, but they actually can get their first idea protected for free, try it on, see how easy it is. And I know you've done a bunch, and yeah, it gives you that layer of protection that, hey, when you go out in the world, you can talk about your ideas.
Yeah, it's super easy as well. And and it's very inexpensive compared to actually having a trademark attorney do it for you, and it can take a lot longer and a lot more expense. And so this is a great way to have peace of mind on your IP.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Kary, thank you so much for your time today, and congrats on all your success, and wish you the best.
Hey, I'm proud of you and all that you're doing at VisionSpark.
All right. Thanks, Kary.
Thanks for listening to Right Fit Leader, brought to you by VisionSpark. Have questions or ready to hire your right fit leader? Email us at discover@vision-spark.com. Until next time, remember VisionSpark is your go-to partner for finding leaders and building teams.